morning. Welcome to another edition of the Front Row Roundtable Show. Glad to have you with us here on NBC 24. The usual panelists this week, Mortgage Marty Bihn to my left. Hello, sir.
Glad to be here.
Hallmark Mortgage. And Big John Malkoski, if you can't tell the difference between the two.
And Marty and I, last night was the big game, so we're still here. We're still friends
right here, right?
All right. We had the big game on on
Monday
Sunday
night, or Sunday night.
Sunday, and the Raiders get stomped.
Yeah, the Raiders did not look good.
No need to wear the jersey.
That wasn't so Super Bowl-ish.
No.
It was. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't Super Bowl-ish.
Whatever that means.
Well, like you're supposed to look like a Super Bowl team, so if you don't, you're not Super Bowl-ish. I just made that up right here on the spot.
Regular season in September.
They look terrible.
Okay. You know, the year they beat Washington in the Super Bowl, they lost to them during the regular season.
This feels a little graspy. I'm just saying. It's okay.
Pointing out how
hey, they didn't look good. That's all I'm going to say about
irrelevant
that.
your comment was.
Here's what bothers me about last weekend. We said what a dud it was going to be and how horrible it was going to be, and then the NFL went ahead and flipped the table upside down and came up with a bunch of games I didn't expect and a ton of upsets. So oops, maybe we shouldn't quite.
And we're going to get to that in just a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't need to jump ahead.
No, that's quite all right. Obviously, we're going to talk about what everybody else has been talking about, and that's what we do on this show. We talk about what everybody else is talking about.
I know.
And that has to do with the national anthem and the kneeling down and all that goes along with it. I have a public Facebook page. I have a private Facebook page. They are different. Okay.
As they should be.
Yes. As I think they should be.
Correct.
But my point to the whole thing was that, to me, it was a cheap political stunt that was used to kind of divert attention from a whole lot of other things that are going on. And I was not going to get sucked in to that divisive argument, unlike what most everybody else did. They got sucked into the divisive argument because I'm a big believer that we're all together in this. We're all as one, trying to push forward. Things like this doesn't help at all.
My thing's always been, I mean, if you think it's disrespectful to kneel, I'm at the Mud Hens every game. You look around while the national anthem's being played, there's people on their phone, there's people with their hat still on, people, shoving a hot dog in their mouth. That's disrespectful too. So why is this any more disrespectful than that?
Might we mention yelling hit somebody during the national anthem in a walleye game?
And that's...
Can we mention that one?
Yes. I mean, that... And some of these people, I'm sure, are in the same... They're the ones shoving a hot dog in their mouth during the national anthem, and now they're saying this is disrespectful that they're kneeling. I don't see a difference. Nor do I really care. I mean, if you don't want to stand for the national anthem, it doesn't hurt me any.
I really have a hard time with the whole discussion, not because it's not important and not because we shouldn't talk about the issues behind it, but
we're not talking about the issues.
Well, that's what bothers. We're talking
issue.
about an act that I don't particularly agree with. So for me, I don't think it should be done that way, and it doesn't matter what I think. And the problem in America, in many facets of America today, and on many sides of different issues, is that we don't care what other people think. If you don't think like me, your thinking's clearly wrong. And it drives me America is about discourse. It has been, it should be. Whether I like it or not doesn't mean I shouldn't support somebody's right to do it. And until or unless we can agree as Americans that that's okay. I mean, there's a great little speech at the end of a movie, American President, that I think speaks to this. And I think everyone should have to go watch it before they open their mouths about this. Again, I was going to say something terrible on both sides. I hate what he said. I don't like the way they did it. At the end of the day, none of that matters because I support both their rights if I want to call them to be wrong, because I think that's the way it should be. And if you're truly, and what really drives me crazy, and I guess I'm going to go on this because you've painted me to the far right for a long time. I know, but it's a good joke between us. If you're a conservative and you support less government, why you wouldn't support somebody's right to do this is beyond me. Because to wrap yourself in a flag to be a patriot and not support what patriotism is, which is to fully support someone's right to free speech and a bunch of other things, to me is the ultimate hypocrisy. And I just can't stand for it. I mean, it makes me crazy.
Let's get off of what team everybody's on. I mean, everybody, not to do a sports analogy here, but everybody has kind of picked their team and they defend their team regardless of what happens.
Right.
We don't listen to each other anymore. That's a big part. That's why I didn't want to get sucked into this argument, because I understand people that get upset when people don't stand, don't take their hat off, yell, hit somebody during the national anthem, whatever it may be. I get it. My dad was in the Korean War. My stepson was a Marine. I get it. I totally understand it. Now, I also understand the other side, because there's things that people are going through, that minorities are going through, that I will never be able to relate to.
Correct.
Not totally by any stretch of the imagination. So I understand the hurt and the pain on that side that goes along with that. Well, if I have to pick a side in this, then I'm saying, well, I'm against this side or I'm against that side, and I'm not. I understand both sides perfectly well.
But I mean, you're getting a lot of the people, the ex-military who did serve, are the ones saying, well, I don't like what they're doing, but I fought for their right to do it.
Some.
And I mean, and some
But,
agree
but
with
to me,
it.
that's the most correct response I've heard.
Exactly.
I don't
Yes.
like it. I wish they picked a different forum, but I support their right to do it. And to me, put a period at the end of the sentence, and then now let's all get in a room and talk about it.
But if you're a veteran, that it incenses you that somebody doesn't stand for the national anthem, I understand that.
Correct.
It comes out of an area of pain, and we should be sensitive to that pain, as we should be sensitive to the pain on the other side of this equation. Now, this has become it's becoming a flag issue, and that's really not the issue. Somebody had posted something I thought was really interesting. Was saying that this is a flag issue the way that Rosa Parks was protesting transportation.
Well, I mean,
it's not that.
No, this isn't that person in that moment taking an active stance, which is different. That's what she did, right? In the moment, she took an active stance in the exact format that the problem was being created. This is someone else standing up after the fact, or as a representation of the situation.
Right.
It's not active.
But it wasn't about transportation.
No. Well, no, it was about something more serious than that.
That's what I'm saying here, and we don't listen to each other at all. Me, I'm not a big one on symbolism at all. I'm the ribbons and the buttons and the pins and all. It's lost on me. It means nothing to me.
But was this past weekend, was that really what we were protesting? Or to me, it seemed like most of these guys were just protesting Donald Trump. They weren't protesting what Kaepernick originally started doing this for, to bring light to it. Because, I mean, if 3 or 4 guys are going to do it, okay, they know what they're doing. But it wasn't until after Trump came out and said what he said, then everybody said, well, okay, we're gonna do it. I think everybody has, not that they've lost what they're protesting. It was more a protest of what was said than it was to further what Kaepernick had started.
I'm trying not to single out any one politician, me personally. Everybody can do what they want to.
Except in this case, one single politician created this situation out of essentially nothing on purpose. I'm sorry, I'm prepared to say that.
I'm not arguing.
This was done on purpose, and the timing isn't lost on me either.
Because we're not talking about the flooding in Houston. We're not talking about the destruction in Florida. We're not talking about Puerto Rico has no
North Korea.
Or how about Afghanistan?
Right.
Or Syria.
Or Russian investigations, or a whole host of, we can talk about all things we're not talking about, which are way more important and impact people's lives significantly more direct than this. And yet,
it's like Pavlov's dog. The bell got rung, and we're the dogs.
Well, I think it was done on purpose, and again, the other side of that is the reaction was exactly what was being sought, in my opinion.
Sure.
I think it was. I think the reaction was exactly what was desired.
What I was going to say was, and I'm not arguing what you said, but this particular politician is not the first politician to come up with a wedge issue. And that's what this is. This is a wedge issue. This is meant to divide. You divide and conquer. That's
Correct.
an old political trick that goes back as far as you can imagine in this country.
It doesn't matter whether in
Be
politics.
careful whether it's a politician on either side of the aisle that does this, that deliberately picks out something that's going to divide people.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, all politicians, whichever side you're on, everybody does the same thing. You know, that's the one thing I hate is, well, your side did this,
I
or
hate
your
to
side
throw
did
everybody
that.
in the same boat.
Okay, yeah.
It's done quite often.
Yes.
I think the reality of politics today is you're either red or you're blue in most people's minds. And I saw an interesting stat on this before this last election, that the vast majority of people have already made up their mind no matter what's going on, who they are. And so it's whoever's team you cheer for, right? I'm a Raider fan, you're a Raider fan, I'm a Cowboy fan, so no matter what, whoever the Raiders put up, you'll cheer for or vote for.
But if you notice, it's the platforms are a patchwork of different positions on different things that really don't interconnect and don't make any logical sense.
Right.
Going back to what something I think you said earlier.
Right. I support less government, but yet I don't support someone's First Amendment right. I mean, it makes no sense to me. I can't juxtapose them.
You can't be forced to be patriotic. That becomes something else.
That's correct. And yet, having said that,
Or threatened, or anything
right.
along those lines. Can we put to rest the stay out of politics and sports? Can we put that thing to rest? Because here's the thing: when we want to talk about sports, and this is what we do, but we're all Americans first. We're all people first, and there are things that cross lines all the time. I mean, we've boycotted Olympics. Has anybody seen a biography on Muhammad Ali? This stuff goes. You can't. How about the '36 Olympics?
Correct.
Go look that up and read about that for a little while.
Well, and for me, I can say from my personal experience and my family's experience, Adam and Noah and I have a much greater appreciation of what goes on in life by having had them participate in sports and having coached over the years.
Yeah, another point I wanted to make.
And been around a extraordinarily racial and socioeconomically diverse group of young men, mostly young men in their careers and in my coaching career. And the things you learn about different people's experience, whether it's, and again, whether it's they come to practice hungry, and part of the reason they come is because the end of practice, if there's extra hot dogs, somebody gets a hot. See, you know those stories. You've been part of them, I'm sure.
True. Oh yeah.
And we're overdue for a break, but there's two great things two of the greatest, I think, about sports. Is one, you actually see hard work pay off, which that's the way you build esteem, not by saying, Marty, you're just a wonderful guy, okay? Which you are. But and the second one is what Marty said. You have you meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds, and you're teammates. And it doesn't matter if somebody's black or somebody's Latino or whatever.
Or Democrat or Republican
I just found out that Sean Kaiser was biracial. I didn't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So I think those are the two best things about sports. Is it makes you more worldly. It makes you exposed to other cultures. It makes you understand.
And it brings people, in many circumstances, it brings people together.
All right, we're going to talk about something even maybe more uncomfortable is what happened to the Lions on Sunday. Not to make light of what we were talking about. We appreciate you being through this. We'll come back. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk the Lions and more when we come back. It's the Front Row Roundtable Show on NBC 24.
Hi, Mortgage Marty Bihn here. After 24 years, I have signed with a free agent with a new squad, and I am proud to announce I'm at Hallmark Mortgage. We are a local company, much like where I left. Full service lender, have pretty much every product you could imagine when it comes to buying or refinancing your home. And the biggest reason I left is the market has changed again, and Hallmark is absolutely the most committed company I've met in the marketplace at getting customers closed on time and delivering loans on time, so that when you commit to that real estate contract, we get you closed when you're supposed to. It has become a real problem in the meltdown not to do that, and this company takes it absolutely as the top priority. So I am proud to announce after all these years, I have moved on to Hallmark Mortgage.
Welcome back for our Roundtable show here on NBC 24. All right, we're heading into another week of the NFL season, week number 4. As we teased a little earlier, week number 3 was at times chaotic. I feel for Lions fans.
Oh, yeah.
But the play was in the end called correctly.
I having looked at it many times since Sunday, I absolutely agree.
It was called by the rule book, but I don't understand the rule. I don't understand the 10-second runoff, because it's not the Lions' fault that they made the wrong call to begin with.
It is, but in my opinion, there's no way they get lined up.
I don't know.
Against,
Eight is. I think 8 is in the realm
you're
of
only
possible.
going 3 yards. Against Minnesota, they went down, and their offense went 27 yards in 7 seconds and got a snap off. This time, you're only going 3 yards. I mean, you're not going anywhere. And plus,
they agreed to rule any time that there's something along those lines.
But
10 seconds.
But has it come up
no
before
timeouts.
Sunday? Has it come up before that?
Well, the 10-second rules come up in a lot of different.
Right, but the runoff on the replay.
But that's when an offense commits a penalty. When the clock was, you can't commit a penalty to purposely stop the clock.
You're talking to the guy who had to digest the tuck rule, okay, with the Raiders and the Patriots in the playoffs.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, when you get to here, you cannot throw a football forward unless you continue all the way around and throw it like that.
Well, it's Tom Brady. You can do that.
But the tuck
He is
rule
the GOAT.
says, so it happens. But that is the rule in the book. You want to change the rule in the book, you can.
Well, the other thing is, if you look at the replay, when his knee is down, there's 11 seconds on the clock.
Correct.
So why not do it from there and say, okay,
But that wouldn't change the continuation of the play.
no, but if he's down with 11 seconds, then shouldn't they set it at 11, do the 10-second runoff, and then set it up?
I don't have a good answer for this when it happens.
Well, it was 8 when it stopped.
I thought it was 8.
I'm saying I don't have a good answer for the situation, other than I tend to agree with what you said. I think at 8 seconds, from the spot you're in with guys only having to come back a few yards, I mean, it was a very quick hitter anyways, and get lined up, that you could spike it, and they had another down behind that.
Right.
So it wasn't like spiking it ended the game either.
All right. Is it too cruel to say Stafford didn't get it done again?
Yes.
No, see,
It is.
see, we talked last week. You previewed this game, Marty, by saying it's a guy who deserves the
Max
highest paid
contract
contract
and
versus
not.
a guy who doesn't.
And I owe
Which one was which?
That's what I'm saying. I owe him an apology because this didn't. For 1 week, this didn't sort that out.
Matt Ryan had not thrown an interception in over 300 attempts.
Okay, and he threw 3.
So it was due to happen. All right.
Well, Norm will get mad because I used to be an apologist when Romo was quarterback.
At least one of them went through the receiver's hands.
Sanu twice, in my opinion, caused them. So 2 of the 3, I would say,
But what
were
I
on
want
Mohamed
to do
Sanu.
with Stafford is not just look at that final drive.
Right.
Look at the one before that, which was a 3-and-out with about 3 minutes to go, and they had to punt. Or let's go back to about 8 minutes on the clock.
Another horrible
3-and-out
after the third
and
pick.
they had to punt.
After the third pick with all the momentum.
Now, granted, one was like in the middle of Ebron's chest.
Oh,
And I'm not saying this is all on Matt Stafford, because it's not. If I would say there's more than one quarterback, if they would have hit Ebron between the numbers and he dropped it, would have said something. Probably stuff we can't repeat, and might have grabbed him by the face mask to get the point across. Instead, you can't just do this.
But he's so used to it happening.
But you,
I'm sure people have done that.
I don't know how to address it because, as I said, I don't think I got the answer I was sure was going to happen in that game. But if I had to pick who I was going to give max money to, I'm sticking with my original call. That's all I'll say about that.
And see, I'm not a Matt Stafford guy, but I agree with the contract. Would you rather have Matt Stafford or Joe Flacco? I mean, Joe Flacco's got a contract like that too.
but if neither one of you would,
I don't want measles or poison ivy. I don't want measles or poison ivy. That's all I'm saying.
What's the point? Well, if you're going to be 8-8, 9-7, out in the first round of play. What's the
Well,
difference?
well, I think to your point. Okay, so if Matt Ryan doesn't throw 3 picks on the road in a loud environment where there are also probably 7 or 8 false starts, that half of which appeared to me to be crowd induced, what does that game look like?
My point is, I don't think the team's good enough around Stafford for Stafford to lead it to where they want to go. What they should have been doing the last 3-4 years is trying to find who the next guy is, so they don't have to get in a position where they have to give Stafford that kind of money because they don't have anybody else. And that's something that they never did. They never started looking for that next guy.
Yeah, see, the quarterback position is just so limited. And even first-round quarterbacks are a 50-50 proposition, whether they're going to flame out or if they're going to succeed.
I heard this
But
ridiculous
if you
conversation of how there were going to be 6 first-round rated quarterbacks coming out in this year's draft.
But the problem is, if you don't wade in and you don't draft anybody, you're not going to get anybody.
But if you wait, I mean, I would rather use a first-round pick to try to surround Stafford with guys.
Raiders took Carr in the second round. Did he look good last Sunday? No, he didn't look good last Sunday.
It's one game.
But you have in the NFL, especially because of what you said with quarterbacks, you have to keep. Look at what Washington did. They drafted RG3. They also drafted Cousins, and everybody went, "Well, what are they drafting Cousins for?" They got RG3. Well, who's still there?
Oh, if I was an NFL GM, I would always draft a quarterback 5th, 6th, 7th round.
Somebody.
Just take a flyer on your highest rated guy that's left, just in case. I mean, there's plenty of guys who have come out of there, the Gus Frerots and guys who are going to be decent players, who you can get down there.
Raiders at one time picked up Plunkett off the scrap heap. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll look at some of the games that are coming up for you tomorrow in the NFL. It's Front Row Roundtable Show on NBC 24.
Hi, Mortgage Marty Bihn here. After 24 years, I have signed with a free agent with a new squad, and I am proud to announce I'm at Hallmark Mortgage. We are a local company, much like where I left. Full-service lender, have pretty much every product you could imagine when it comes to buying or refinancing your home. And the biggest reason I left is the market has changed again, and Hallmark is absolutely the most committed company I've met in the marketplace at getting customers closed on time and delivering loans on time, so that when you commit to that real estate contract, we get you closed when you're supposed to. It has become a real problem in the meltdown not to do that, and this company takes it absolutely as the top priority. So I am proud to announce, after all these years, I have moved on to Hallmark Mortgage.
Since 1982, Red Wing Shoes at North Reynolds and Bancroft, selling purpose-built footwear for men and women no matter what your job is. Carrying the largest selection of Red Wing shoes in Northwest Ohio, over 3,000 pairs of boots, shoes, and accessories in stock to ensure the proper orthotic fit and style for your line of work. Stop in and see Mike, Aaron, or Bob at their newly renovated office. We're easy to get to at the corner of North Reynolds and Bancroft with ample parking. Red Wing Shoes, Reynolds and Bancroft, where service, quality, and fit come first.
All right, welcome back. Front Row Roundtable Show. Mortgage Marty Bihn, Big John Malkoski. There are only 2 teams in the NFL after 3 weeks that are 3-0. Kansas City Chiefs, Atlanta Falcons. That's it. Just 2.
And Atlanta by the skin of their teeth. Not once, but twice.
Yeah, and that's what the NFL preaches, is parity. I mean, that's their whole game plan, and I guess it's coming together.
Kansas City's really good.
Kansas City is really
They're
good.
really good.
Kareem Hunt
Did it again. 69-yard run.
Yep, at least a 50-yard touchdown from scrimmage every game so far. I mean, he has taken over the NFL very well.
And people that don't say young, multi-dimensional running backs matter are just wrong. We're talking about quarterbacks. Well, having that kind of weapon who can slip out of the backfield and go take something 60 yards of the house also causes defensive coordinators nightmares.
And that's the thing, you have to be able to catch nowadays. I mean, you can't just have the big bruiser running back that can't.
Well, they're 3-0 moving the ball up and down the field with Alex Smith, who I think none of us are giant fans of at quarterback. And oh, by the way, they're not even so convinced he's the next answer that they drafted someone to ultimately replace him this year, and yet they're putting up
Good.
video game numbers. I know it's a great idea. I'm saying they're putting up video game numbers.
And if they never use their backup quarterbacks, it's going to be a great season for them.
Yeah.
Another one of those 9:30 a.m. games this week that you can't find on TV.
Those, I don't know. Those things are always ugly. I don't know why. I don't know why people in London would continue to go to.
They're the only thing worse than a Thursday night game. I'm prepared to stick with that.
I think we got some real good games. Buffalo at Atlanta is a good game. Detroit, Minnesota is at 2-1 teams.
And that's a division game, so that's
That's going to be a
that makes
big
it
deal.
even
That's going to be a
bigger.
big deal. Yes.
Your Cowboys host the Rams.
That's I call that one of those cowboy katana games. Like if you lose that one, you have to consider ritual sacrifice.
Yeah, but the Rams are playing well.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore are both 2-1.
Yeah, and that's usually a big game. I mean, a big physical, tough.
And
game.
both laid eggs against what I would consider bad teams. So you see who's going to right the ship, because somebody's all of a sudden going to be 2-2 with back-to-back losses,
Right.
scratching their head.
Oakland and Denver is both 2-1.
That should be a good game.
Yeah.
Both coming off losses. You can say one was worse than the other one, losing to Buffalo. But yeah, I mean that's another big, and especially when they're division games, they're just they take on an extra meeting.
And then on Monday nights, Washington at Kansas City. Is Washington really as good as they played last Sunday?
No.
Because I tell you what, they got it done up front.
Here's the thing that scares me about
games.
the Redskins, and in particular as a Cowboy fan. What if he and the receivers get on the same page? Because I don't think they've been. I've seen a lot of read routes that were read wrong one way or the other. What if they get on the same page? What would that offense look like? As good as the line has looked so far, that scares me a lot, not a little, as a fan of the opposite.
We're the only team that's ever lost 2,000-yard receivers in the same offseason.
Yeah, and I mean they did bring in Terrell Pryor, but as well as he played in Cleveland, I don't consider him a number one receiver.
No.
But I do think Kirk Cousins is good. He's playing up to his contract again, playing for another contract, which is
$40 million next year. I mean, so you can't franchise him again.
There's no way, because it is a salary cap still.
And I was going to get this in, and talk about it, but so long, Brad Ausmus.
Yep. I thought we would have a segment on that, but
the problem is, what if we talked about it and someone acted like we cared as opposed to celebrating? Right. We'll blow kazoos and
he'll be fine.
Yes, I'm prepared to celebrate like New Year's.
He'll be fine. We got to run. Appreciate you being with us this week. Powerbomb Wrestling coming up at 2 a.m. Set your DVR. If you can't catch it then, you can catch it at fight.tv coming up Sunday at noon. And this production also part of the Toledo Sports Network. And if you want to actually advertise and support local programming, get a hold of us on Facebook or Twitter. All right. We'll see you next time. It is the Front Row Roundtable Show.